Well, I'm honored to be kicking off the festival. I didn't know I was. I'll be giving 2 major presentations and then also working with my mentor in journalism, George Knapp, to kind of release what we've been working on, which is a film called Hunt for the Skinwalker. It'll be coming out really shortly now. The 2 presentations I'm giving, they're vastly different. The first one is kind of a UFO update about secrecy in the world of UFOs. Up until December of 2017, the world thought that the study of UFOs by the United States government had ended in 1969 with Project Blue Book. We suspected otherwise, but we didn't have direct confirmation. New York Times put out 2 videos and a big article about a current study of UFOs within the United States government, a very detailed account of that study. And so that kind of opened the doors for us to understand that, of course, the United States government is interested in objects flying with impunity through our airspace, the potential threat of that. So it's a new era. And my first presentation will be bringing everybody up to date with the details of that release, the implications and the ramifications of that release. So that's going to be the first talk that I give. I was actually, for 2 years, working with one of the lead witnesses in the Tic Tac UFO case, Commander David Fravor. Was talking with him quietly because I couldn't shield him. I couldn't shield him from the secrecy that needed to be held around that military event. Well, it became the tip of the spear for the releases in the New York Times. I actually encouraged him to go forward with it because it's a very important case. So I kind of had an inside look at it for a long time before it went public. And I'll be talking a little bit about that and what we know about the modern day UFO programs. So that's the first presentation that I'll be giving. And then the second one will be all about Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar is like the Elvis of ufology, the Bigfoot. You can never capture this guy. For 30 years, George Knapp has done an amazing job at keeping his story on the forefront of everybody's minds because this is a cosmic whistleblower. This is an individual who worked on back engineering non-terrestrial technology at a subbase of Area 51 called S4. His story is profound. If you believe it or not believe it, it's based upon about 3 hours of footage over 30 years. Well, I'm excited to say that I've been able to do direct interviews with him over a durational period, and it's an authorized, definitive documentary on the Bob Lazar story. And so that's my other film that's coming out this year. And then when George Knapp comes, we're going to talk about Hunt for the Skinwalker, which is my movie that will be dropping really soon, all about Skinwalker Ranch. Again, a 25 to 30 year story that has been embargoed. The story has not been able to be told. The footage during the active investigations at the ranch has never been able to be shown. George Knapp wanted to make a documentary, but he couldn't. That information was locked down, it was shut down. But with the change of ownership of the ranch, this 30-year story can now be told. And oddly enough, it ties into the government releases and the programs that are now acknowledged to study UFOs. So couldn't be more relevant. We no longer have the luxury of disbelief. We have been directly proven to us by the United States government that they have been actively studying the phenomenon and the associated phenomena to UFOs, which gets very strange. The effects, psychologically, biologically. And again, we don't have the luxury of disbelief. We are now being told UFOs are real, and our military has been studying it, and we're only being told a tiny little piece of the truth. The New York Times did not get the story right, but that story will come out. And so that's kind of it's a very exciting time. But when I say weaponize your curiosity, that's my goal, to weaponize your curiosity because it happened to me. What does that mean? Well, it's a cute way of saying you no longer can remain a simple consumer of data and information, but rather you are so compelled to become a participant in looking at one of the greatest mysteries of human existence, which is, are we alone in the universe? Are we being visited by non-human intelligence? And what is the intent of that visitation? So my curiosity was weaponized when I could no longer be a passive observer and consumer of this type of information and become an active participant in uncovering, exposing, and bringing forward these ideas. So that's what that term means. And yeah, I would say that George Knapp has absolutely helped in that weaponization of my curiosity. But more than anything, he's provided a role model for me as an individual who's an investigative filmmaker to look into this subject sober-minded, to dig deep, and to vet every source. For me, the biggest highlight of doing an event like this is being able to meet the individuals that come to participate as viewers, because people come to these events because they've had an experience or they know somebody that had an experience. They come because they are very interested in this subject. How can you not be? If you're not, you don't have a curious bone in your body. So it's meeting people that come to these events that have their own stories, their own experiences. I learned so much from the people that attend these conferences, and I think it's amazing, and I think it's important that when you're curious, you ask questions. And I really hope to weaponize people's curiosity in the audience, where they're not just, again, consumers, but they start actively helping out. We need different perspectives, different people looking at this topic and helping to kind of open it up, because look, it's a modern era. We do not have the luxury of disbelief. UFOs are real, and they are here, and there are people controlling them. And the question is, what is their intent? What is this all about? And it's going to be really interesting.